And we are back with another episode of the Hockey Princess podcast. I am your host, the Hockey Princess. We have Krusty Old Guy once again. Guys, just as a reminder, make sure to hit that like and subscribe on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, however you watch or listen to us ramble on a weekly basis. Let's get into it, Krusty. We have hockey soon. We have hockey this week.
We had hockey today. Did we
did
not?
have hockey today, but we have games.
There was people skating today.
There were people skating today.
Okay, now this is our last Cuban. So we've saved the last. Now that we actually have hockey, we have some skaters on the ice. We are going to have our last Cuban on this show. I know to you, Hockey Princess, that might not mean anything. But to other people, it might mean, ooh, ah. And to many other people, they don't care. But yes, I saw people skating at Fifth Third. Oh my goodness, everybody looks fantastic. We're going all the way.
Yep. But before we get to our guys, we have some other guys to talk about because everyone's really, really bored right now.
Yes.
Before the season starts. Everybody's bored. So everybody's just stirring up drama. But as a hockey podcast, we got to talk about the drama a little bit, especially because the drama doesn't involve us yet.
A tiny bit of it does. I mean, didn't the Beacon of Hope comment on his contract? So there could be drama there.
Oh, he commented and said, it's fine. I'm not worried.
Oh, I hear a lot of people always saying it's fine. But you know what? Really isn't.
So first, Connor.
Have I thrown you off?
Yep. First, of course, everybody likes to ask Connor Bedard about his contract extension because it hasn't happened yet. Guys, this kid's not leaving. It's fine. He's saying it's fine. He might leave because he's so annoyed with everyone asking him the question. But he's not leaving. It's fine. Everybody take his Xanax.
He is not. Krusty Old Guy isn't sure about a lot of things, but I'm sure about this one. He's not going anywhere. Again, it's just a decision on what he wants to do. Does he want to sign for 8 years? Does he just want to do 4 and then re-go after the... That's all that this is. Okay. Right. We're solid for at least 7 years. So just relax.
Yeah. We're fine. Next drama that doesn't involve us. First bit, the big talk with everybody is what is the other Connor doing? Because Connor McDavid has not signed his extension yet. Some people thought that he was going to do it a couple of days ago on 9/7. But he hasn't yet. Everyone's starting to get a little nervous. Folks got a little extra nervous when, I don't know where he was, if it was an Oilers skate or an Olympic thing or something. The man was on the ice and then came off the ice and people were asking him questions. And there's the soundbite of, we're looking at all options, whatever that is, short term, long term, no term. That was soundbite that the NHL world heard around the world because everybody is now, whoa, Connor said no term. He said no term. That means there's a possibility that he goes somewhere else. As much as I would love the chaos of him going somewhere else, realistically, I don't think that's going to happen. I forgot who was it, but the guest from Empty Netters this past week made an excellent point. Connor McDavid sticks to the team that he is with. He is not a consistent jumper that's gone back even with juniors. When he got drafted to Erie, a lot of people thought that he would go try to get traded to London or another bigger market in terms of the OHL. but he stayed with Erie and brought Erie the championship. And I think that's his mindset with Edmonton. Also, with the amount of connections that McDavid has in his personal life with him and his wife, you know, the amount of like businesses, property, and things that they have in Edmonton. They have great ties to Edmonton. I don't see them detaching from that with, I would say, 99 out of 100 scenarios. Of course, there might be one where Bill Zito blows up half the roster of the Florida Panthers and says, want to come here and win one. That would maybe be the 1 out of 100. But aside from that, I don't think he is leaving. However, as a former theater kid, man, if McDavid does leave, I would love it for the drama.
Yeah, I'm sure he got a kick out of it. I'm sure he had practiced what he was going to say. And then I would assume there was just a mic drop and walk off and go, all right, I'll see everybody in another week and a half when camp starts. I can't imagine he goes anywhere. Why would he go anywhere?
Right.
Well, people say, chase a cup. He's right at the cup doorstep right now.
Right. If you're trying to chase a cup, there's only one team that you can't beat. And that one team cannot take on any other humans. Bill Zito made sure of that in the offseason.
Yes, it's just no matter where you go, you would then be taking away from said team. So you're not any closer. Of course, the dream is come to Chicago because we're the worst team in the league, but we've got prospects. Go to Anaheim because we're the 5th worst team in the league, but he's not doing anything like that. I think basically what he meant by no term is 1-year contracts. If he decides to do that, maybe he just decides he's going to make sure he's the highest paid player every year. So first year he'll be 16, the next year 17, and so on. That's all that means. He is completely in the driver's seat. Edmonton's not letting go of him. So I get how it would be neat to create the drama, but nothing to hear here.
True that. Moving on to one that could have some drama, maybe, is significantly more likely to have drama than McDavid going elsewhere. And it was definitely a point of conversation on the social media this afternoon when there was a rumor. Sorry if you guys hear meowing. We have another cat in the house. And that is your Kirill Kaprizov of the Minnesota Wild apparently rejecting this massive contract with the Minnesota Wild. It was like 16 mil for however many years. It was totaling to 128 million. And people were saying, oh, he's rejected. And then there were people being like, this was never an offer that was on the table. We don't know. It's definitely something that's come up in rumors and conversation because we are bored in the offseason that, you know, Kaprizov is due for a next contract, be that with Minnesota or going elsewhere. I don't know how much I actually believe that he turned that down. If he did, then I don't want to be in Minnesota anymore. I'm looking elsewhere. So, ladies and gentlemen, your newest Washington Capital, Kirill Kaprizov.
Yeah, no, he's your newest Blackhawk. This rumor's been going around forever, right? That he's going to be coming to the Hawks. So that's what it is. Could he have rejected 16? It's possible. Draisaitl signed for what, 14? I think 16 is a talking number at the end of the day. I believe that is a starting point. If they get him for 16, that's a deal. He's your whole franchise.
Yeah.
He knows that. He is also a top 10 player in this league who can drive any line with whoever he plays with. If Draisaitl's worth 14, somebody younger like Krill, and definitely had some injuries last year, but I've got to figure that starting point 16. So will this get done? Of course it will. They've got a lot of money saved up for this.
Billy Guerin's not letting him go.
No, unless he just decides he does not want to be in Minnesota.
Which is crazy.
Well, it's really cold there. Again, there's always been the little bit, do you want to play in a big city? You go back to Panarin. Panarin liked Chicago, went to New York because of the huge Russian population in both places. So there's always that possibility. I don't think it's going to happen. But, as you like your drama, we can spin it that way.
We love the drama here.
I would assume they don't let this get too out of hand, but I think 16 is the lowest signing point.
Oh my goodness. Somebody wants to say hi.
Whoa. Uh-oh. Hello, Kat.
Guys, for anybody listening, or for context, this is Simba. We're cat sitting. So he wants to say hi.
Okay, well, we'll all say hi, Simba.
Yeah, I think this is just some drama. But as we have said, I love drama. So maybe this can continue a little bit longer. And it's nice to be a fan of a team who, like, everyone has speculated on the Connor Bedard extension since we drafted him that he was leaving. It's really nice to hear rumors about different superstars leaving, so it's not just us.
Oh yeah, and you got to remember we've heard all the rumors also. Patty Kane was definitely going back to Buffalo. I mean, we lived through that.
Yeah.
Oh no! He's a problem child. You got to move on from him. He's gonna great package to Buffalo.
Gosh, can you imagine if he went back to Buffalo?
Be a lot less cups.
Yeah.
Again, it's Krill's decision. I mean, you want money, and you want enough of understanding. Rose, stop it. That you are going to continue to want to build a winner. That's it. So, Guerin's in the process of doing that. So, I might have to take care of my dog.
That's fair.
So, go to your next subject. Go on.
Well, that's really all that we have in the NHL world. As we've talked about, guys are starting to skate again. Camps start, like prospect camps, not necessarily training camps for teams, but camps will start tail end of this week, beginning of next week, depending on the team. Blackhawks start this weekend, which we will get to once Crusty Old Guy has decided to calm down Rutu, the Wonder Dog. And then, we have the prospect camp, we have training camp, we have preseason, and then we're back.
Yes. And sorry about that. Sorry about last week moving around. I'm going to try to do better. I hope it doesn't bother too many people.
It's okay. But before we jump out of the NHL, we have one more division to discuss. Folks, we've done the Atlantic, we've done the Metropolitan, we've done the Pacific, and now it's time for our division, the Central Division. We've saved the best for last, friends. In no particular order, the Central Division is the Winnipeg Jets, the Minnesota Wild, St. Louis Blues, Nashville Predators, Dallas Stars, Colorado Avalanche, Utah Mammoth, and your Chicago Blackhawks.
All righty.
Krusty, would you like to start with who you have at number 8? Because I guarantee It's going to be different than mine.
All right. Since we know it's going to be different, I'd like to put a wager on that.
Okay.
Let's say $50.
Krusty, you know I'm poor.
I know you are, but I just want to make sure that this is all on the up and up and you're not just doing it because you hate some other franchise and you really believe that one franchise is going to jump that other one. But
I do believe it. I do believe it.
All righty. Drink the Kool-Aid. Yes, I have the Chicago Blackhawks at number 8. We are what we are. So I don't feel I need to talk about it. And we will talk about this team enough on this program.
That's fair. For number 8, I do not have the Chicago Blackhawks. While they are pretty far down. And that's because I am choosing to drink the positivity Kool-Aid because it's really depressing going in thinking and expecting to be number 8 in your division again. So I don't have us at number 8. I have the Nashville Predators at number 8 because with how bad we were, I don't think it's really that far of a reach. At the end of last season, we were number 8 and Nashville was number 7, and there was only a 7-point differential between 7 and 8, which is like a handful of games. If Nashville continues on the way that they were, which wasn't the best last year, and they really, unless Krusty can correct me if I'm wrong, they really didn't make any major transactions, free agent signings, nothing splashy like they've done in years past. They're kind of going with the same group in theory come October, aside from some coaching additions. That was really the only thing that they've kind of added this offseason. So if they're going to continue the way that they are, and we're getting younger, I didn't say better, but we're getting younger, I am choosing to believe that we can jump the Nashville Predators. So I have Nashville at 8 just because they really haven't improved a ton. Yeah,
Kool-Aid.
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm happily drinking the Kool-Aid. But they haven't made a ton of, splashy additions that would make me believe like, okay, this is going to be in theory a better year than last year. And, a lot of people do love UC Saros. I'm not particularly the biggest fan. I think he can be hot and cold sometimes. And I think if he has another hot and cold year, I think the Predators are in a dangerous position. Whereas if we're all drinking the Kool-Aid and we're getting younger and we have a full year now of Spencer Knight in front of the net, I'm delusional. Chicago at 7, Nashville at 8.
Okay. I've got Nashville at 7. You're right on. They added an Eric Haula, who is another extremely old guy. They did make a trade, got Nicholas Hague.
Yeah.
Added some other pretty solid depth defensemen. Again, their problem is they couldn't put the puck in the net. Saros played really well at the beginning, but was getting no goal support. They were losing 2-1, 3-2 all the time, 1-0 sometimes. And then everything snowballed and went to shit. Could what you're thinking about happen? Heck yeah. And that's a very old team. And what happens if they get off to the bad start?
Luke Richardson becomes the head coach.
I've got to figure mid-season people start leaving. Ryan O'Reilly's made available. You have a litany of people on 1 year or maybe 2 years left on their contract that little guy is going to start to want to move. And once that happens, yes.
Speaking of Ryan O'Reilly, I know we talk about how we should not be adding older guys to block younger players, but oh my God, I would love Ryan O'Reilly in a Blackhawk sweater.
Well, Ryan, I'm a huge fan. Um, if you haven't blocked anybody now, I don't think now it is still the time for some veteran leadership, but we'll get into that later. But yes, is it possible? Heck yes, it's possible. Does that give this Hawks fan base something to cheer about? Heck yes, because if you can be in front of, you know, Idiotville, you're very happy. So it is possible. That will depend on their start. That's still not the fastest team. They're pretty slow. Their back end will be better, and Saros is still Saros. But if you can't play 5-on-5 very well and you can't put the puck in the net, who knows what happens?
Exactly.
So it's not near as far fetched as some might think.
I don't think it's that crazy. All right, Christy, who do you have at 6?
I've got the Blows at 6. This was all really difficult. You have like those 3 teams, and I don't know where to rank any of them.
That's interesting because for me, I separate I think the bottom 4, with the exception of I think the bottom 4 and the top 4 are pretty tight in terms of who could jump who, but I think they're in 2 separate categories versus top 4 versus bottom 4.
Okay. I do not, but I've got the Blues. Again, they've got a good amount of talent. You've got Snuggerud, who started to play at the end of the year.
Stellar guy.
So they've got younger players coming. You added a P. Suter.
Blackhawk legend.
And Bujistad to give you more depth at center. Is that enough? Yeah, that's a good, solid team. That's a team that can beat anybody on any given night and can really lose to anybody on any given night. I do know that's a team that gives the Blackhawk fits because they play hard, they play physical, and so. But at the end of the day, I just don't see any superstars and not a ton of finishing talent. So,
I also have St. Louis mainly in the awkward position of I can't see them going any higher, but I think they're better than the 2 that we listed before. I definitely agree that there is not a B guy. I think they have many players that are solid, many players that are good, but I don't think you have a like Kaprizov that we were talking earlier. You don't have this is the guy of the St. Louis Blues. I think they will be good enough to be annoying to play against, but I can't put them higher just because I think either they're missing a guy, which a lot of the teams that we will mention next have one or multiple. And I think they're not in a burn to the ground rebuild, but they definitely went through a significant dip. And I think you're in the position where you have a few pieces, but not nearly as much as the guys in front of you.
Yeah, that's probably a good way to put it. Again, could they go up to 4? I think that's possible.
Yeah.
I can't imagine them slipping any further than I've got them listed.
Yeah.
So
be great though for me.
Yes.
Number 5, I also have the St. Louis Blues at 6. Number 5, I have the Utah Mammoth, kind of for the same position that I don't see them, in my opinion, I don't see them higher than my top 4. I certainly don't see them slipping. I think they're 5 at the lowest. I think the other teams somebody would have to have a really bad start to the season, be injury prone for them to jump. And I think they're kind of like when we talked about other divisions in the East, they're good and they will win and they can definitely play a good 60 minutes, but there's teams above that are just so darn great to play against. So yeah, I've got Utah at 5. This may be my team of the Hockey Princess doesn't have faith in them, like Krusty's prediction about the Winnipeg Jets last year.
Easy.
Or my predictions of the New Jersey Devils.
Okay, at number 5, I have the Minnesota Wild.
Ooh.
You were average last year. Granted, Krill got hurt, but I believe that's a team that's top heavy and expects Krill to bring them through at the end of games. And I don't think they have enough offensive firepower. There's none added unless you think Tarasenko all of a sudden is going to rejuvenate. So I believe you are at tops a 2-line scoring team. And I don't think that's enough to get it done against the big woolly mammoth.
Clearly, I disagree, but not by much, because I have the Minnesota Wild at number 4. I do agree that in terms of forwards, they're missing if Kaprizov is out. However, I am the biggest fan, and I will toot the horn of the Minnesota Wild defense and those kids that are coming in. I think not only do they have offensive power, but I think they are young, they are fast, and they are going to be incredibly irritating to play against because they're just that good. And when Krill is there, they're gonna be great. So I have them above Utah. Mainly, I think I'm just more familiar with the Minnesota Wild's game than Utah's, to be honest, and that's why I have them above Utah. But I think they're good when Kaprizov's not there in terms of like the pieces that are coming, and I think they're more than capable to be competitive when he is there.
Yeah, I am going to go with the big woolly mammoth at number 4. I believe, you got JJ Peruka, or we'll just call him JJ, added to a ton of forward talent. I think you've hit the nail completely on the head. It's a difference of 2 positions. Minnesota is very talented and pretty gosh darn young on the defensive end.
And there's no saying that their offensive power can't come from the defensive aspect a little bit. I mean, that's what everybody was pushing and expecting core to be. I mean, you win 3-2. I'm a big Zeev Buium fan, but I think this Minnesota Wild defense is going to be a significant problem.
And you very well could be right. I like the way Utah's heading. As you stated, I mean, do they have the young defensive talent that Minnesota has? Not even close.
Nobody really does.
So, it depends. Can Minnesota win in games 3-2 all the time? A good amount of them, yeah. They play the right way. They don't make a ton of mistakes. Utah will be fast. They'll be dangerous. It'll come down to goaltending. And that's the one team that keeps on sticking in my craw. I want them in the playoffs.
Minnesota or Utah?
Utah. I want them in the playoffs. I need them in the playoffs. They're reconstructing their whatever place to where you can maybe see the whole ice when you sit. I just think it would be good for hockey. It goes against what I usually believe in, which defense wins. Defense and structure usually always wins against running and gunning. But I want the Mammoth, so that's why I picked them.
That's fair. All right. Christy, who you got in number 3?
Well, now we get to the big boys, and this, to me, is all interchangeable.
I will agree.
I think you could shuffle these 3, and all 3 teams don't care where they place. Nothing matters except the playoffs to these 3. But at number 3, I've got the Colorado Avalanche.
Me too.
There's really no ads. You added a Brent Burns. We all know what he is.
But this is a full year of no Rantanen.
Right. This is a full year of no Rantanen. Is Landeskog going to make up for Rantanen? No.
And that's not a diss against Landeskog. It's just, I think, unrealistic to have the expectation of a guy who just came back during the postseason last year to be the replacement of a guy with Rantanen's caliber.
Right. And you still kind of put him in so you could be him on the third or fourth line. You're looking at him playing probably a top 6 position. We've talked about in this show at depth with this season starting, as far as with the break and everything, with the Olympic break, just the amount of games you always got to play on a very old Landeskog and a very reconstructed knee. I just don't see that working out. And, you know, the guy they traded for Landeskog, he's on the last year of his contract. And he's just a guy that shines, but when the going gets tough, Nashus seems to go. So, you know, they've got Nate McKinnon, you have Cale Makar. I mean,
right.
So that right there means you can win every night. Just with those two. I mean, I love watching McKinnon play, and Makar, I think, is probably the most valuable player around. So, but, you know, there's 2 other big boys. So we've got 2 teams left. I have the Dallas Stars at number 2.
Dang.
Because I'm not making the same mistake again.
You're putting your boy at number 2?
Yep.
Is it really so you can put Johnny at number 1?
Ding, 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 ding. But basically, they lost Danov, they lost Garland, and they lost Marchman. And basically did not replace.
Garland?
Yeah, who is this? What's his name? Is it Garland?
Are there 2 Garlands? Because Connor Garland's in Vancouver.
All right, maybe I got the name wrong. Hold on. Now you're killing me.
No, I was just confused. Granlund.
Yeah, Granlund, Garland, same thing. All right, thank you.
Really
Thanks
not.
for the quick correction. But you lost 3 players in your top 9.
Yeah.
I think that'll make a difference. Defensively, I love Dallas. They've got 3 unbelievable defensemen with that kid that you started talking about midseason.
Liam Fischel.
And I thought he played phenomenal.
The man who is suspended from playing at the Olympics for Team Switzerland.
Really?
For missing an international competition like years ago. He had a suspension and it ends, I think, after like the 2026 Worlds or something.
Oh,
but he can't go to the Olympics. I don't think he would go to the Olympics, but he can't go.
I would assume a Team Switzerland could use a guy like that. I could use a guy like that. So, I mean, again, will they make a move at the trade deadline to get them some more depth? You're darn tootin' they will. But I just, you know. So who do you got it to?
I have Winnipeg at 2. But I do agree with you that regarding the top 5 of Dallas, Winnipeg, and Colorado, they are interchangeable. They have been interchangeable for the past couple of years. And they certainly fall into the Florida category of we don't care how well we do in the regular season because it's about the postseason. We're going to do well enough just by being stacked to make it into the postseason, but the postseason is what matters. I only have Winnipeg at 2, mainly because of losing Ehlers. I think that will put a divot in the team a little bit, maybe not a ton, but a little bit. You got the greatest captain ever as an addition. I just, similar to why you didn't rate the Washington Capitals that high, I don't think you go on that much of a hot streak again for another year. I think I just I don't think it's done. And Dallas, I mean, Krusty's talked about how great Dallas is. Yes, they have lost people, so it wouldn't surprise me if those two were flipped. But I think, especially like goaltending, yes, you've got Hellebuck in Winnipeg. That's great, but the Otter seems to just get better and better every year. And gosh darn it, remember when the Blackhawks passed on him? Because I still do, and I make a point of saying that every time that man's brought up. I don't know. I think I really just have Dallas at number one because I don't think Winnipeg goes on a hot streak as much as they did last year. I think something will happen, be it injury or just not gelling immediately, where they just slip a little bit.
Yeah, the Jets, I've got them on the top number one because of my colossal mistake last year. I figured just on that principle alone, I will put them at number one. And again, you have my captain, your captain, everyone's captain, everybody's captain coming there. Does that mean that do I see that making any difference for them being the top team in the league? No. Once April rolls around, though, if he is still healthy and playing, I believe that will make a huge difference come playoff time.
Gosh, I'm just so
having
excited
him
to watch him play
in the locker room will be.
He is going to be yelling at Hellebuck, like, get your act together.
People have asked, what are you looking forward to this year? And it is an easy statement for me. I am looking for that first time that number 19 drops to a knee and does the little punch after his first goal. I am looking forward to that like crazy. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be unbelievable. He's going to go down and give him a little. Again, as we've said, these three teams, they're interchangeable. They know none of this matters. It's, the season starts in April for them. So
yeah,
we'll see. And Hellebuck and Otter, that'll be a nice little battle beginning of the year because they're battling for a country.
Yeah.
And they're, Hellebuck, odds are good, will be the USA goaltender, but Otter wants that job. So that'll be fun to watch at the beginning of the season, too.
It'll be very fun. Jumping to our team finally. Because, like we said at the beginning of the show, guys, ice is ready. People are skating. People are skating at Fifth Third Arena right now. It is a very good time of the year. I'm very excited. Granted, we have a couple more days until prospect games, which are this weekend, which is Saturday and Sunday up in Minnesota. But there's hockey, friends. I don't know what else to say aside from there is hockey. Like we said last week, with this camp, it's a select amount of guys. No college guys, which I would like to amend something that I said a couple of weeks ago. Nathan Bem, I think, has one more year before he starts at Arizona State University because he is at prospect camp and he's set to go back to the WHL at the start of their season. So I think it's one more year and then he goes to college. So I wanted to correct myself from earlier. And another thing that I wanted to correct myself from earlier, I have been saying that this goaltender that we picked up was from Barrie for months. I am so sorry, guys. His name is Owen Flores. He's from Niagara, still in the OHL, but different team. And I really want to make a point of this kid because he is a hometown kid. That's right. Your Owen Flores is a Chicago boy. He will be at camp along with, as we guessed, Stanislav Bereznoy, which was the KHL acquiring that KD made over the summer. Aside from that, no college kids. You've got some guys that were picked this past draft over the summer. You've got a lot of guys that are set to go back to juniors at the end of prospect camp, beginning of training camp sort of thing. They're the first ones essentially to be got come training camp, but it's still going to be exciting, gosh darn it, because we have hockey.
Yes. Nothing better than seeing them out there. Debating if I want to go watch practice tomorrow. Unsure.
You should. For us that actually have to work and can't be there, you should.
Well, we'll see. My days I don't make decisions on my days until I wake up now. But as far as the roster, you've got the 2 goaltenders. Everybody's going nuts. I've already heard that Rinzel and Artie the Party look like they're all-star material. I don't know how that's possible after one little practice of them skating on the ice, but that's what I'm being told. I will say this, as far as these games, I don't expect that top pair to play a lot. I don't think they're going to put them through that. There's a chance that each one of them makes the big club. I think they're more there for veteran leadership through this little series. I don't think they're going to get a lot of ice time. Maybe I'm wrong. But you have 6 other defensemen that are going to be playing. So
one that I'm very excited to see, which is Ashton Cumby from the Seattle Thunderbirds, the man who knocked somebody out with one punch. Guys, if you remember John Hayden from many moons ago, this is the bigger, badder defensive version. And I'm excited to see him ruffle feathers this weekend. Krusty, did you get the soundbite, though, from Rinzel? I figured you would appreciate it.
What was the soundbite?
I asked him about making the big club. And he said, I've got to earn my spot, same as everybody else.
Yeah,
I figured you would appreciate the soundbite.
I do appreciate it. Krusty has problems when everybody just starts going nuts. Krusty wants to push back the other way. So that's where Sam falls. It's just there's not enough there to make a decision, but it seems like a lot of people are making the decision already that he is an all-star. I've been told by multiple people that he is your Calder Cup or your Calder winner this year.
Well, I wasn't going that far, but I do love Sam Rinzel's game.
I need to slow the roll on that. I love his progression. I believe he's a piece. I don't know how big of one yet. I just don't. Yes, I like the comment. Everybody needs to earn their spots. There's spots open on the defensive end, that's for sure. Does he need a year of seasoning in Rockford?
No.
I don't think so. That's a little bit more, maybe to learn a little bit more of the physical aspect that he did not see in college. My concern with him is if you start him on your top pair, there will be film on him. There will be an attack plan by every team. And I saw how that worked out for the Pickle last year.
Yeah.
It's a different animal than when you're just being thrown in for a couple games. As I said, I don't expect them to play a lot, but I think out of your forward group, get excited, lick your chops. It'll be worth watching those 2 games just for that. We have the one guy that everybody is cheering for, and that is your Lardass.
Yep.
Everybody likes Lardass. That's what I'm hearing. He loves being called Lardass, from what I understand. And again, we get to see some Oliver Moore, of course, put a spell on me. I think whether the 2 big guys on D play a lot or not is irrelevant. I think you'll be entertained by the forward group.
I'd like to point out another name that Ben Pope did highlight that he did well the first day of practice. Granted, it's just practice, but we paid attention, or at least I paid attention to his point production last year with the Kitchener Rangers, and I am very intrigued and excited to see what Jack Pridham does this weekend. He's another one that I think doesn't get talked about enough, and maybe that's just because of where he is in the pipeline. But I think he has the potential to maybe be a diamond in the rough situation. So I'm excited to see him at camp and just be able to watch a bit more footage, because as we talked about last weekend, we'll be able to watch way more OHL this year, but I really didn't get to watch a ton of OHL last year. So I'm excited to see a bit more footage on Pridham's game. But he's one that I haven't watched a ton, but I've heard great things. And of course, we paid attention to the stats all season when we do our prospect report. So I'm excited for Pridham.
Yeah, he's definitely a guy to get excited. I'm excited to see Vanaker. I'm also I'm excited to see Ty Henry.
Yeah.
So as I'm saying, even though my belief is the top two aren't going to play a ton, I think you have more than enough to be excited about. Be excited. They haven't released that they'll be streaming it, but they streamed it on their website last year. I've got to figure they do the same thing this year. I don't know if you'll be able to see it if you don't watch it live, which I know is a problem for people. You have college football, everything else going on in the world. Hopefully they hold that video up for like a day, so I can definitely watch it. But
some of us have made sure in our schedule that we are home with no life during those games.
Yeah, but it's hockey time. It's time to get excited. We'll go through this, and then all the big boys will be coming to camp next week. So it's go time. It's
Guys, you know what the best part about this is? We're at the point where Sam Savoie is not at this prospect camp sort of thing.
Yes. And again, if we're going to talk big club, that would be like one of the first guys that we love talking about. I just don't think there's a lot of forward positions available.
Which is really funny because they love to talk about how much space they have. And it's like, we have space for maybe Landon Slaggert, which, as we're also big fans of Landon Slaggert, go Irish, he should have a spot. But there's not really a ton of spaces. But another season, another year closer to Sam Savoie having an NHL spot. And that's really what I look forward to.
And as far for me as I need him in the starting lineup. I need him there on opening day.
Please.
I've been over this enough. I need heart. I need a heartbeat. I need somebody to take the pressure off just by his play, which he has the ability to do. So, anything else we're talking about the big club? Are we on to the big club? Or?
We can talk about the big club. Not really a ton, no crazy additions or anything. We talked about Connor Bedard doesn't have a contract extension yet, so that's all quiet. But as we said, guys, this is the beginning of the start of the season. We'll have this. This blends into training camp where everybody kind of shows up. And then as camp goes on, some guys are sent back to their junior teams, back to their European teams. And I'll probably say this again next week, but I just want to make it clear. Just because a guy gets sent home, or if he's the first guy that gets sent home, does not mean that they are not interested in him, don't like his game. It is all about this whole purpose of training camp is to actually have eyes on these kids more than just footage throughout the season, to be able to see them, to be able to talk to them, that sort of thing. So while it could be that they're like, okay, this kid needs more development, he's going back to juniors or wherever he's stationed originally, if he's not going to Chicago or Rockford. It can also be, we've seen his game. We know what his game is. We know what type of player he is. We know at what point of his development he is at. We know who this guy is. We don't need to see any more of it. It doesn't place a value on their development position. It can also just be, you know, we know that this type of player, there's not necessarily a spot for them in Rockford or Chicago at this time. So instead of, and this is pretty common for folks that are in it playing in international leagues. So instead of just keeping them here, they send them back to either their junior team or whatever European league they are set to play with come October.
Yeah, I think that's an incredible thing to point out, that because that is completely right on. The fact that somebody leaves camp early is not a direct indicator that, okay, he is now fallen down on their depth chart, on their thoughts. They should know what all of these guys are. You'll have a week or two of camp, maybe a preseason game or two. You kind of know where they're at, and there'll be a group of them, especially in the forwards, that aren't going to be making this team. And so, yeah, it just might be like, hey, we want to get them set up with their junior team, get them set up maybe down in Rockford, but it doesn't, as you stated, it's not, I can't think of the word that.
Yeah, that makes fair.
Yeah.
In reverse, because I also know this time last year, everyone was very excited. There was a lot of drama and discourse regarding AJ Spellacy playing as long as he did for training camp. And, you know, we were told by certain people to not get excited about this. I'm not one of those people. Get excited about Spellacy. Get excited about whatever prospect you'd like to get excited about. Clearly, I do. But, you know, the coaching and the front office will definitely keep a select group of the younger kids if they're performing at an above average or like at an elite expectation in terms of like how they're playing during a couple of games. Guess what? They're going to keep them a little bit longer. Doesn't necessarily mean that they are the first guys to get called up, that they're immediately, that their spot in Rockford is guaranteed. That doesn't mean anything either. There will just probably be a couple of players where it's like, we want to keep you into the last possible second because either you're playing really well, you're a marketing fluff piece, unfortunately, because that's just where we are in the current development. It can be all sorts of different things. Does not mean don't get excited. It just means that they may not be, you know, the number one guy in line for the next call up in whatever spot of the pipeline, depending on positions.
Right. And they just might want to look at somebody a little bit longer, and that's why they're there. Nothing more, nothing less. Real? Sorry, I've got to yell at my dog. Okay. Are we on to, you wanted to do one other little segment or no?
We can a little bit, very, very quickly. Not
quickly.
very, very quickly, but we can jump
do
over.
I do anything quickly?
No. All right, guys. So we talked about for the past couple of weeks that we are doing fantasy hockey this year. It is the Princess League. If you want to join, please join our league. You can email us at thehockeyprincess@gmail.com. But we are going to go through Fantasy Hockey 101 with Krusty. If you are new to fantasy hockey, if it's been a while, to be honest, I haven't played fantasy hockey in a hot minute. If you are new, if you're returning, or if you just really, really love to listen to Krusty old guy ramble, here is Fantasy Hockey 101. So, Krusty, what are the basics that folks need to know, or what do you think kind of should fall into your Fantasy Hockey 101? The floor is yours.
I don't know if I can go through the whole fantasy hockey.
No, not the whole thing, but like
I think we'll go over a little bit of draft stuff.
Yeah.
And we'll call it a day. Number one, I wanted to congratulate you on your bonus episode. I thought that was really well done, and I wanted to tie that into the fantasy hockey of, I'm going to tell people right now, the fact that you're just getting into this for this first year and you have somebody crusty and old like me who's been playing fantasy hockey for a little while, trust me, you're not going to know any less than I know, okay? At the end of the day, if you deal with people who say, oh, yeah, I'm a hockey genius because look at my fantasy team, that's a bunch of BS, okay? There's a lot of luck involved in this, okay? But if you are going to be joining our league or you're getting into a league for the first time someplace else, it's about the draft. So the draft, I suggest going to any form of site and getting a list of like the top 200 players, and they'll have them ranked for you. My advice through the draft, if you are unsure and you don't watch a ton of hockey, is kind of stay with that draft sheet. Don't reach too much for somebody. They might be there in the next round. So, unless if you got your eye on a player, yeah, sure, move him up and take a grab. But for the most part, try to stay close to that. You'll have a lot more of a solid lineup. So that's my advice number one. Just whenever you're drafting, have yourself a nice little sheet, and you can start marking it off through the draft, and you'll see that there's this one name that you have a group of things crossed off and a group underneath them crossed off. That's a guy you want to grab. Okay, he slipped in the draft. Trust me, you want to grab him. The only other strategy as far as the draft is there's usually a goaltender run, and that's what you need to worry about. All of a sudden, whether you're in like an 8-team league or if you're in a 10 or 12, all of a sudden goaltenders will just start to go, and it'll turn around and get back to your turn, and you'll find out I don't have any all-star goaltender.
Right.
And if that happens to you, my suggestion is then grab like 3 or 4 that are starters that you can stash and see how the year goes. There's a handful of maybe 10 really good defensemen that make a difference. You want to at least get one of those 10. Most of your scoring is going to come from the forwards, but goaltending is going to be a difference also. We don't have, maybe next week we'll go over what our categories are. You've got to set that up. But as I'm going over, like for the draft, try to be aware on your sheet, are goaltenders going? How many of these top tier defensemen are left, say, in your second round and in your third round? And if you don't have any, even though some of these forwards you'll look at and go, oh, I need him, you might want to grab a defenseman. My only other thoughts on this is after your complete all-stars, there's a lot of interchangeable centermen that you can get further on down. That's why you kind of, after those first couple rounds, you start thinking goaltender, defenseman, because there's second line centers on every team that will probably end up doing the same thing. But my other big part is don't be intimidated. You guys went over that real well on that show. I understand the Meathead Nation in every aspect, and don't be intimidated by it, because I'm going to tell you right now, they don't know any more than you. They're just like you. They're watching some show, getting their information, just like I do, just like Hockey Princess does. I just happen to watch a little bit more, so I might have a little bit better name recognition. That's about it. And again, as I've stated before, there is nothing better than going through a week in the hockey season and beating the crap out of crusty old guy. It's going to make your week. So get on board, get yourself a team, and come join us.
Come join the Princess League. If you are wanting to join the Princess League, just shoot us an email right here. We'll get you the hookup. We'll get you on the league. It's going to be a really fun time. Draft is in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and we can go over a little bit more after the draft as far as how the rest of it goes. But it's a good way to kind of pay attention to a little bit more players than you would during a normal season. So
exactly. All right, Krusty, you got anything else for this week?
No, I'm starting to get some juices flowing. I'm feeling good. I'm working at keeping all these people that think everybody's an all-star at bay and understanding we are what we are.
Guys, I promise Crusty Old Guy is a lot more positive than his Twitter feed.
Yes.
Is.
Well, it's just some people just I'm kidding. But I do have one question for Hockey Princess before we leave.
Yes.
Okay, the points started out in Vegas for the Blackhawks was 61.5. That's the over and under. So
Okay.
Vegas doesn't think they're going to get more than 62 points in the year. Through Chicago money, it's now gone up to 67.5. I'm going to ask you, Hockey Princess, before you guys get your betting person involved on your next with your other that other person. Will the Blackhawks be above or below
Above.
67? Okay. All right. Krusty is undecided right now.
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. Above.
And as much as I like to yell about the drinking of now is the time to drink the Kool-Aid. You are correct. Drink the Kool-Aid.
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. All right, friends, that is all for this week. Just as a reminder, make sure to hit that like and subscribe on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, however you watch or listen to us ramble on a weekly basis. That is all, and we will be back at it next week.